Hello, girls, guys, or otherwise. This is Rich with another Witchy Book Club series. This is chapter 10, lesson 6 of the Outer Temple of Witchcraft. As per usual, if you need a copy for following along, there is a link down below. It is an Amazon link. If you can get it through an independent bookseller or through a small seller or something like that. Hold on, I'm trying to get situated here. I do encourage you to do that. If you cannot otherwise do that, go ahead and get yours through the Amazon link below. Let me go ahead and kind of finagle something around here. I'm trying to get the mic just right so I can actually have the book up on here. You know what? Screw it. Let me just use my little drawer here. Okay. Anyway, this is lesson 6, divination of true will. Now, let's see. What was I going to say? Oh, before I go on, let me go ahead and give you the whole spiel so I don't have to say it later. If you're not yet subscribed, go ahead and hit the subscribe button right down there. Hit the bell notification, hit the thumbs up if you like these videos, hit the thumbs down if you dislike these videos. If you dislike them or if you have anything to add or take away, leave a comment down below letting me know. It all appeases the algorithmic gods of YouTube. All hail the algorithmic gods of YouTube. With all that being said, let's go ahead and get into chapter 10, lesson 6, divination of the true will. This starts on page 191. And in our grandest of traditions, let's go ahead and dive into the first sentence or few sentences to see how he opens up this chapter. I think I am not quite getting all of my mic settings. Okay, I think that's better on the mic settings. I watched this little bar down here, and I don't like it going into red, but I don't like it just being down in the green. I like it to be a little bit in the yellow, so I don't have to do as much editing with the music in the background, all that stuff. Anyway, more than y'all asked for, and probably don't even care about. I do know that some of you out there do love the background music. I kind of love it too. I think we need to mix it up a little bit with future videos. Maybe starting as of next year. We'll mix it up with a different soundtrack in the background, something still calming and soothing, something still that's copyright friendly or copyright free, that I can use here on YouTube's. And yeah, we'll talk. There's lots to go over between now and next year, so let's grab our coffee, grab your tea, grab your beverage, whatever it may be, sit on back, relax. Let's go ahead and get on into this. I have coffee. This is like my third, maybe fourth cup. I think it's my third cup, which is actually not that much for me. Anyway, going into the first, let me situate this here. I don't want to lose my place because I'm like partially through reading chapter 11 and I don't want to lose my place on that. Okay, there we go. And I had my pen in there. Anyway, let's start with the first sentence, or I think this is the first couple sentences. Before getting personally involved in Wicca, my image of the witch was the little old gypsy fortune teller gazing into a crystal ball, reading palms, or shuffling the deck of tarot cards. Okay, first sentence. It is a good opening. I will say the term gypsy is not one that is really supposed to be used anymore. It is considered a derogatory term, and beyond saying it for this, I would rather not say it. They are Romany people. I know those who are of Romany descent do kind of want to bring back that term as a positive term, much as people in paganism and witchcraft bring back the term of witch, or in some cases warlock. So I will let them do the battle on their end on whether or not I'm allowed to say it, but beyond this, I don't want to really say that. I think it's a horrible term. outside of those contexts where you're trying to reclaim it. So just a little precaution there. So yeah, other than that, I think this is a good opening sentence. It gives a baseline of where most of us probably think, the term witch is. Or where our image of a witch is. So moving on a little bit further down, at first such tools didn't appeal to me, but like so many techniques in the craft, until I had a personal experience, I completely misunderstood the ancient wisdom behind it. Okay, stumbling over my words here. Yes, I can agree with this. Certain tools, whenever you start any practice, might not really appeal to you. They might not really seem that that much of a pull for you. And I can relate to this. Whenever I first started my practice, I didn't want really anything to do with tarot. And the reason for that is because tarot is a standardized system. It's been around for, well over a century easily. But the century mark for the Rider-Waite-Smith, the more famous of tarot systems out there, that is the big one for a lot of people to talk about. There is a standardized way of what the cards mean for the most part. For some people, no, not really. I mean, they go by the images and they find the meaning on their own of what the card is trying to say. It's, a lot of times that's where I'm sitting. I'm like straddling that. I found it very overwhelming to learn 78 different card meanings, both upright and reverse. Then you have all the lore behind it, where, oh, you shouldn't be buying your first deck. You have to keep it in this type of covering, and you have to use a candle when doing it, and you have to protect it with a crystal. No, you don't have to do any of that stuff. At the end of the day, the cards in tarot are pieces of cardboard covered in plastic with an image on it that is supposed to invoke something in your mind, as far as your intuitive mind and your intuitive aspects there. Continuing on, because we're going to be talking about that here in a little bit, I'm not going to really expand too much on that anymore. On page 192, divination, like meditation, is a form of learning to listen. I've talked about this in the past. Prayer is you talking to deity. Meditation is you listening to deity. It's that, if you're always the one talking, when are you actually listening? That type of thing. And I think meditation is that situation where you're actually listening for response from deity. And divination, like meditation, these kind of go hand in hand. Moving on, many traditions believe you cannot divine for yourself. This is one that has really bugged me for a lot of my practice, because I even have, still to this day, a friend of mine who I've given readings to. And she uses fairy oracle and all that, and she's given a reading to me, spot on, wonderful. But she is of the belief that you're not really supposed to read for yourself, and you're supposed to be gifted your first deck. And I've kind of told her, I said, yeah, I don't follow with that at all. There are many times whenever I don't read for myself because I don't want to know what it's going to say, because I know the tarot cards, for me at least, will not hold back any punches. The tarot cards for me will tell me exactly what I need to learn or what I need to know, and will not let me deviate one bit. If I'm asking the cards about love, they're going to tell me about money. If I need to learn about money, if I want to ask about love, they might tell me about health issues, that type of thing, or social issues or something like that. They will tell me what I need to hear not what I want to hear. So I have not had the same experience, and that's where I've always sat with tarot is I need you to tell me the hard truth of what I need to know, not what I want to know. And it often comes out just that way. I also like to kind of be surprised about the future. Um, so I don't really ask about aspects in the future. I will ask different aspects here and there about the present, and it'll help me work through some stuff. But beyond that, I don't really try to divine the future, like ever. My method of card reading is more geared towards a personal therapy type session where I'm, you know, helping myself, think through something or helping somebody else think through something. So that's where I'm at on tarot cards. Moving on. Other traditions recommend you divine for yourself often before every spell cast and before any major decision. I do not do this. Um, I don't really I don't really read before casting a spell. I do a lot of meditative practices before going into spell work. And I have something on my nose. Anyway, and doing those meditative practices on what I'm about to do and how that will interact with something else and how that interacts with that thing and that thing and that thing and where the ripples go. Doing those meditations for me is huge. So doing a reading would kind of negate the need of doing a meditative practice like that and really getting into the nitty gritty. So not exactly something that I do for spell work. And I don't really do it for myself that often, again, because I don't like to know the future. I don't like to be told how horrible I'm being or, well, not really that. I don't like to be told how I need to do something else that I'm neglecting. It's not something I like to really have told to me often. I like to think of my life as being planned out and set, with set parameters at set times. I'm going to do certain things. And I mean, even down to this channel, like I try to have the videos out on time. I try to have them out scheduled for midnight to come out, so they catch just about every one of the time zones and whatnot. I mean, I'm in a pretty good situation where, if I put it at midnight, it catches about most people during that day. So certainly I could do it like, I could plan out some other way where, it comes out at an optimum time just for my time zone, all that stuff. No, I have a set standard. I like to have it done that way. So I like to plan things, and I like to think that my plans are pretty okay. Now, doing tarot on a regular basis might negate that, and I don't like to be wrong, because who does? Anyway, yes, I have a bit of an ego whenever it comes to my life and how I live it and how I practice my practice and whatnot. And, tarot does put me in my place. And that's one of the reasons it doesn't get used all that often, at least for myself. Works fine for other people. And, if somebody's seeking me out for a reading, I'm going to tell them what the cards are saying. Not going to hold back. But it's definitely not something I like to hear, and just being completely honest. On page 194, let's move on. The more detached you are from the situation or question, the more psychic information is available. Because of this, many psychic readers feel you cannot effectively read for yourself because you won't get a lot of new psychic information that you are unaware of. I disagree with I agree with him that that's what most psychics will say, or most teachers will say. However, I disagree with that teaching. I completely, pretty much disagree with that teaching. I think you can effectively read for yourself if you're not afraid of being told that you are wrong, which again is one of the reasons that I don't often read for myself. But I really should start doing it more often. Um, yeah, just something I should probably do more often. We'll just leave it at that. Um, Probably would be a little bit easier around or on myself. For some reason, I'm a glutton for punishment. But let's move on to page 195. If you are not focusing on future events, but asking for sincere advice about your life, you can pick symbols from your oracle system that will guide and inspire answers. Absolutely. Um, Whenever, and I want to expand on this and reiterate what I've already said before, is that when you are not focused on, yes, I want to talk about love and, my love life, when you're not solely focused on that, but you're focused on, hey, cards, tell me what I need to know. They will tell you about your financial situation that you're not looking at. They will tell you about your health situations that you're not looking at. Seek a doctor. Just saying, just putting that out there. They will tell you about social aspects and family aspects that you're not looking at and things that you're not addressing with that. So many more things will open up to you if you let the door be open. And I've done that in the past and had fantastic readings. But it's usually a hard truth for you to take in. So it's not often something that you probably will want to do. And I know that from experience, at least for myself, that's the reason I don't like to do things like that. Anyway, let's move on. Down at the bottom of page 195, dabblers have noticed that even if you don't know what the cards mean and simply look up the meanings in the books, the cards have relevance. Therefore, they believe the cards themselves are a source of magic, but it is your interaction with the cards and your willingness to listen to the universe that catalyzes the magic of tarot. Absolutely. I have had so many people tell me that, tarot is evil. And this goes back to the earlier discussion that, no, these are not evil. This is a deck of cards. This is, 78 pieces of cardboard with pictures on them, covered in plastic, and marketed by US Games Incorporated. And it's not evil. And if it were, then it tells you a lot of useful information that you should be taking advice on within your own life. It's not evil. It's the person reading it, whether or not they are giving a sincere reading and what their motivations are, whether or not that is evil, is a different question altogether. But no, the cards themselves are not evil. The cards are just that. They are cards. Envisioning something wicked coming from a deck of cards is silly, in my opinion. Cards that are brand new, that have come right out of the box, do not have a demon attached. They are not, sealing demons into decks of cards at US Games. Legit, they're not. Just like Hasbro, or I think it's Hasbro, is not putting in a demon in a Ouija board and marketing it to children. No. I have different thoughts on the Ouija board, and you know what? I don't think we're going to be talking about Ouija boards in this chapter. Not that I remember. So I'm going to talk about it now. Ouija boards are not evil. Ouija boards are a piece of cardboard with pictures and letters on them, covered in plastic with a little planchette. Not evil. To think that the spirit board in and of itself is evil is silly. It is the things that you do with it that could bring in something that is less than kind. Certainly I wouldn't say evil, I'd say more mischievous, maybe. But yeah, no, it's yeah, but yeah, no, yeah, okay. But anyway, it is not in and of itself evil. It's whether or not you are doing something that is bringing something forth that could have a more negative action behind it, or a negative intent. And it's whether or not you know how to use the tools that you have. At the end of the day, people sitting down playing with a Ouija board, I don't think is a great idea. I think it is a terrible idea. I see the Ouija board as a spiritual device, and it should be treated as a spiritual tool. Much like the tarot cards. Who's sitting around playing with tarot cards? Who's playing war with tarot cards? I don't know of anybody that's doing that. There certainly are games that you can play utilizing a 78 card deck like the tarot. And it goes back to Tarot, I think is what it's called. I have no clue. Apparently it's a lot like bridge. Don't know how to play bridge either. But yes, you can play a game with it. Doesn't mean you're going to summon a demon playing that particular game. But I think that utilizing them as spiritual tools when they're meant to be spiritual tools is a huge deal. It's the same reason that, I'm not going to let somebody come in and use my wand as a baton. Yeah, I can't do that. I used to be able to a lot more, gracefully. I'm not going to let somebody come in and use this as a baton and twirl it around, throw it in the air and catch it and all that stuff. No, this is not a toy. It is a spiritual tool that is utilized for spiritual purposes. So yeah, that's just a thing there, is utilize spiritual tools for spiritual purposes, and don't use them for frivolous things or to play a game unless it is intended to be played as a game, like the game of Tarot or something of that nature. There are a couple different tarot games that you can actually play, and it would help you maybe to learn a little bit more of the images or whatnot of the tarot deck. So, those wouldn't be too bad, but certainly don't go around playing with a Ouija board. Not because you're intending on bringing something forth and you're not taking it seriously. Give me 1 second. Jelly is at the door because she didn't come and join me, and I will try to edit this out. Okay, and we are joined by a Jelly. Say hi, Jelly. Hi. Okay. Yeah, I'll put you down because you don't like to be picked up. Actually, we're going to go ahead and feed her a little chicken treat. Pure Bites. Not sponsored. Pure Bites, get at me if you want me to hawk your shit. Yeah. And we're just going to give you a little piece of chicken for coming and joining us. Thank you. Yeah, they absolutely love these. Both her and Karen. These are, they're, was it, dehydrated or freeze-dried or something like that, right? Freeze-dried chicken bites by Pure Bites. I get them on Amazon. I got them at a pet store that was closing, and they absolutely love those because they are like organic and all that stuff. So yeah. Next part I wanted to read is, if you are drawn to use the tarot as your divination tool, but have never formally used it, try this basic primer to start, or primer, as some people say. I think it's supposed to be pronounced primer, and if you're painting, it's considered primer. Anyway, try this basic primer to start. Then expand your studies as you work within the craft. Or, shameless plug here, or you can join us on Tarot Talk Tuesdays, where we're going through the entirety of the tarot deck, the Rider-Waite-Smith system, of course, because it is the most widely used system out there. So yeah, you can read this and expand on that, or you could just come and join us. Anyway, Tarot Talk Tuesdays, you know, come join. Anyway, moving on. I think most people that watch these videos, especially who have made it to the 25-minute mark, or by the time I edit out me getting jelly, the 24-minute something. Anyway, if you have made it this far into this video, you're probably already watching the Tarot Talk videos. If you're not and you haven't yet, let me know in the comments section down below, and explain to me why. Anyway, I want to continue on to page 201. When interpreting the card, one would also intuitively go by the scene depicted by the artist on the card. Your feelings and first reactions to the cards are as important as any book meaning. Some read the cards differently, upside down and upside right, but I don't prefer this method. I do. I think that there is a whole heap of things that can be uncovered if you're reading things upright. I'm not going to say that there's not. I think there's even more meanings if you switch that upside down. I think that there is so much more that can be gleaned from a meaning of a card, or a card's meanings can be expanded if that card is upside down. Again, that's just my little thing on that. If you don't want to read upside down, you don't have to. Read upside right all your life. It doesn't matter. As long as if it works for you, fantastic. There are certain situations where I will be reading something and intuitively I will sit there and I'll be like, this isn't supposed to be upside down. This isn't right. It's not. That's not it. It's not right. And I'll flip that bitch upside down or upside right. So yeah, something I will sometimes do. And if you ever get a reading from me and I say, if you want this to turn upside right, this is what I would suggest. You know, that is a commonplace in a reading with me, especially my Grand Tarot Tableau reading. In that one, I will go through, and it takes about 2 hours or so for me to go through every single card and whatnot, and how it interacts with another one, and any of them, if they are upside down, how they can be rectified to be going upside right. Okay, moving on. He does give us a tarot spread. You can't really see that there, but yeah, there's a tarot spread there. I think that is wonderful. I think that is great that he puts that there. Not exactly one that I would probably use a lot, just because of how it goes for the past and the future and all that, in the present. The way he has the threes going, like the 5 through 7, the 8 through 10, and the 11 through 13, those I don't really jive with the way those are laid out. And you know what? I haven't tried it yet, so I can't really speak to whether or not it would actually be worth my while. But I will try it, and I'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll report. Maybe I'll remember to report on that. I have a feeling that I say that I'm going to report back on something that I'm supposed to be doing, but I've done it, and I haven't told all of y'all. I can't even remember how many times I may have said something like that and have not followed up. I do apologize on that. And let me know. Call me out when this stuff happens. I know somebody out there is keeping tallies. He didn't tell us about this. And I need you to tell me that I didn't tell you. Anyway, we're moving on to page 203. Often the answer will not be as clear-cut as these examples, so really strive to learn your cards. Absolutely. Whenever I was in Korea, and what really got me started on really delving into the cards and really loving the cards, is the Witch's Tarot. And I can't remember off the top of my head who did it, and of course I don't have them right here easily accessible. And of course, they're no longer in the box because that's back whenever I didn't keep boxes for my tarot. And I don't know where the book is. I think it's Ellen Dugan. For some reason, that name is coming to mind. But I sat down and I read the book to the Witch's Tarot. I went through. I was giving readings at the time through Biddy Tarot. They had this thing. I don't know if they do it anymore, but they had this this type of tarot community where you could give free readings to anybody who asked for a reading. The only catch was the individual who got the reading needed to give you feedback on, whether or not the reading was good for them, whether whether you answered their question, whether you hit all the points. Did you get something completely wrong? Or, all that stuff. And I actually have a record of all my readings that are typed up. I have pictures of them. I have, all that stuff. So I would take a picture of the entirety of the spread, and I would send them pictures of each individual card, and then write in what my thoughts were on this card showing up for their situation. So it was a nice way to get my feet wet, to really cut my teeth in tarot reading. And that was right before I went to Korea. So while I was in Korea, this is around the first holiday times whenever I was there, I spent an entire day and a half, I think it was. I mean, I blew through this book pretty freaking quickly because I knew the images. I knew what the images were, but I didn't have a solid grasp of what each one of them meant completely, especially for that deck. And I sat there with that book for about a day and a half. It's not a long book by any means, and it's well written enough that you get enough intellectual parts, but you also get that plain English, like I'm sitting here talking to you, type of reading that I can go through a lot quicker. So it's not highbrow language. So I sat there and I read through that, and I just absorbed every little piece that I could, and I started associating the meanings that I was picking up from the book to the cards, and that has helped me expand on different card meanings here and there. Whether Ellen Dugan is completely correct. I think it's Ellen Dugan. Whether the definitions that she has in the book are completely correct for me and all the situations that I encounter these cards in, or whether they are incorrect. If I'm still giving a good reading at the end of the day, that's what really matters. I think this is useful advice. But let's go ahead and move on to page 207. I do want to get through this chapter in its entirety, definitely in under an hour, and I think we're in a good position to do so. He says, I use runes much like cards. I ask a question or think of a situation and pick 1, 2, or 3 runes out of my rune bag. You can also do layouts like tarot, but I prefer a simple method of 3 runes. This is not how I use runes at all. I will make a little circle, and I will literally take all the runes and dump them out in the circle. Whatever is inside the circle gets red. Whatever is outside the circle does not. And I start from most of them have a blank one, but that's actually a signifier. It's the weird. So if it doesn't come with an extra one, take a stone that represents you. This is blue onyx, which I just recently acquired. Bad camera quality on that, but I recently acquired that. Take a stone, put it in there, and throw it into the circle with all the others. You start at this one, and you go out. You know, you swirl out. Anything to one side is the past, anything to the other side is the future. You know, stuff like that. The closest things are near future, further things are far future. You know, same thing with the past, except opposite. Anyway, so yeah, I think this is. And there's Karen at the door. I'm not getting the door again. I will make an exception for Jelly, because Jelly will continue and continue and continue. But Karen can wait. At least for now. I'll still give her a treat if she's still there. But that's how I read runes. And one of these days, whenever I have a desk that's big enough for, you know, more than just a mic stand and, you know, a book and a computer monitor, I will have to show y'all how I do a rune reading. And I haven't done rune readings in forever. And, you know, I tried to do the Futhark Fridays. Yeah, didn't really get too far with that. So, and I do apologize for that, but, you know, in life, certain things have to fall by the wayside, and that's one thing that I had to, just because of the amount of research and time I spent on it. So, anyway, we are moving on. Still on page 207, he has here other oracle systems. I Ching, have not tried it. I do suggest, and I don't have it up there, the Tao Oracle gives you a nice little primer into doing I Ching and whatnot. Do I think it is the ultimate, you know, be all end all? Absolutely not. Do I think that it is a good primer for it? Absolutely. So I would suggest getting that Oracle deck. I do have a video on it in my playlist somewhere for Tarot Talk Tuesdays. I think it is a wonderful, like, the book alone to it is huge. And I think that would be a good way to get into researching the I Ching and learning about that. The next one is lithomancy, a system of divination using stones, precious or semi-precious, each with symbolic meaning. If any of you are interested in this one, go to Annie's channel, Mirth and Reverence. Pay a visit over there. She goes into using stones and doing stone readings and whatnot. Something that she learned, I think, years ago, I think is what she says. And yeah, not something that I really got into, so I can't really speak on that too much. Moving on. To page 208, he mentions numerology. I have here a note saying it's great for beginning. If you are just beginning in your studies of divination, learn numerology. I sloughed it off whenever I was first getting into my practice, and divination is something that I was huge into for my practice, especially my early practice. And I always sloughed off numerology. I'm like, that doesn't seem that hard. It can't be that difficult, blah, blah, blah. I'll tell you what, it helps a lot. Knowing the numerological system will help you in tarot. So if you want to be a tarot reader, learn numerology. You'll thank me later. So, you know, other forms of divination, it might help you in, but mainly tarot, it's going to help you immensely. So go learn numerology before learning tarot. You'll thank me later. And the other one that he mentions here is Ogham. This is so mysterious to me. I have not studied Ogham. They look so cool, and I'm really kind of jealous of those out there who know this type of divination, because it is so mysterious to me. I don't understand it. I don't see it as a form of divination for me. I would love to know how it operates and the different ways of reading them and all that. I just haven't gotten around to actually studying them. I think it is fascinating, though, to see it. Moving on, this is on page 208. Scrying. This system does not use a standard set of symbols. Scrying speaks more to the creative mind and uses seemingly fluid, adaptable medium that allows a variety of symbols and interpretations. I'm going to read this other part and then come back. Scrying works best when you let your ego, or when your ego is not involved, so scrying for others, or when you feel detached from the question, is the most effective time to use this technique. Absolutely. Scrying is one of those things, and you know what? I'll show that later. Scrying is one of those things whenever you don't have a vested interest, whenever it is either not yourself or whenever it's something that you can step back from, is something that you can do and not really have sway over it one way or another. The thing that you want to do whenever you're doing divination is to get an honest answer. If your ego is in the way, you're not going to get an honest answer. And I think that is one thing with scrying that can definitely deter you one way, or can deviate you one way or another for doing this type of divination for yourself. Moving on further down, this type of divination is extended to, he's talking about, scrying, okay. Still, this type of divination is extended into the shapes of tea leaves, wax, oil, smoke, or sand in a variety of mediums. Most commonly used is a quartz crystal, such as chip. Y'all have seen Chip before, if you've been following me for any time. Yeah, Chip is my quartz crystal. Of course, he has a lot of little inclusions, which make, and he's a lot more clear in real life than he is on camera. But yeah, Chip has a lot of inclusions, and that type of scrying is wonderful. You kind of just get lost in them. Moving on. You may find one or more becomes a favorite, and don't be surprised in your experimentations that several mediums just don't work for you. Everyone has their own preferences and tools that work best. Okay, I'm going to stop there because he mentions tea leaves, wax, oil, smoke, sand. These varieties do not work for me. I have tried tea leaf reading so many times, and if you look up here, that's my teacup for tea leaf reading. There's another one right there. I have used that teacup so many times to try to decipher a meaning in the tea leaf reading. Can't do it. Can't see the shapes that are supposedly there. I don't get it. I can't see them. Wax, I've never really tried, but yeah, wax for me does not drip usually, but wax doesn't really do it for me. Smoke, oil, and sand, no. Never really saw images in any of those. Smoke sometimes, but usually it's just a wisp. Don't see it. Whenever we're talking a crystal ball, yeah, I can see stuff in that. Especially whenever it has inclusions, I can see little things, or my mind will start wandering and whatnot, and it gets that intuitive juices flowing. It gets all those intuitive juices flowing. And then he talks about crystal. The classic scrying device is the crystal ball. A sphere of polished quartz crystal makes an excellent object. Absolutely. So does a selenite. Absolutely. And that is a clear quartz crystal, like a, probably glass ball right there. And I have several different eggs, as you'll see all around there. That one is a carnelian. I think that's my carnelian. That one there above the Shiva Lingam. And I haven't... Where did it go? Somewhere around here. I have an orange selenite that is like that, except orange. and it's beautiful, and I don't see it up there. Oh, wait. It's because it's down here on this altar. Okay. He continues to say, great debate rages over the need for an absolutely clear piece of quartz versus those with inner inclusions or other murkiness. Traditionally, the ball should be clear, but honestly, I prefer ones with an inner landscape of inclusions. Absolutely. Totally agree with him on this one. You can even do so, or do readings. That one's a poor example. Yeah, you can do readings with a quartz crystal like this. Again, this one looks murky on the camera, but if you were here in real life, like the top of this is all clear, but it has inclusions and whatnot. So this would be a great meditative crystal. It even has some markings right here from where it was growing and how it was cut and everything. I love my crystals. But I think that the inclusions in a crystal help. Absolutely. Your mind starts wandering and it goes to places and whatnot, and I think that helps. Moving on. Crystal balls are traditionally... Let's try that again. Crystal balls traditionally are covered with a black or white cloth to keep their psychic energy contained after consecration in a magic circle ritual. I don't agree with this. I think it depends on the crystal. Now, one reason I don't agree with it is because Chip does not like to be covered. He said so. He also doesn't really like me to pick him up, but how else am I going to show you? He gets very skittish. He's kind of like Jelly, except like really, really skittish. And he's fragile. So, anyway, yeah, he doesn't like to be covered. And I've made covers for him, like to put over top of him. No, he doesn't want to be in the dark. I've made little hats for him and a little goatee for him before, and somewhere I probably have those laying around. Those he doesn't mind because he can, the light is still there. But I like dressing up my crystals too, sometimes. Anyway, let's move on. On page 210, crystal gazing doesn't have to be in a clear quartz sphere. Other crystals work too. Large points are wonderful scrying devices that are often neglected. Absolutely. If you are looking for a crystal and you don't have a lot of money, you don't want to buy multiple crystals, don't worry about getting the crystal ball. A lot of times they are very expensive. I think Chip cost me $25-30, and I mean he's a good size. He fits in the palm of my hand. He's not one of those huge ones that are in a witchy shop that are like bigger than my head. I would love one of those. Can't get one. Way too expensive. I did get one of these. This is a glass one that I got out of a clean out. And it actually came with a base that is metal. That and you can even tell it's glass because there's the part where the person who blew it actually broke it off and whatnot. I think that's where that is. I think that's what that is, or maybe that's just a bubble. Anyway, it is glass. But it came with a base, and the base has a light in the bottom, so at night you can turn it on and whatnot. The wiring is really old, so I don't really want to test that out too much and like just have a light going, Yeah. If I get a earthquake, if I get a reliable little nightlight that I can put under there that's not going to cause a fire, practicing good fire safety is always important, then I will probably turn that on and have that going like at night and whatnot. A nice little nightlight. But yeah, I got that in a clean out that I did. what I affectionately refer to as the dollhouse. This lady had dolls everywhere. Story for another time, but long story short, that was in her living room. And yeah, now it's mine. I don't use that as a crystal ball, and buying one of that shape is financially irresponsible, in my opinion, for me. If you have the funds to do that, and that's something that you really, really want to do, absolutely go for it. But for me, having a nice glass ornamental one that I could probably still do divination with, because let's face it, I'm scrying. It's not overly important that it's a crystal. It's important that it is a surface for me to stare into and kind of get lost into. I've tried a couple times with that. Does not have the same effect that that chip has, because I really like the inclusions of chip. So yeah. So anyway, what I was saying, if you don't have the money for a crystal ball and a quartz crystal point, get the point and use the point. I got this one right here. That's a pretty big quartz point right there. I'd say it's probably about a good 6 inches or so. And I absolutely love using that one because it is a huge generator type quartz. You can utilize that for scrying as well as for a crystal grid or spell work of any sort. Moving on, because we're getting close to the end here. Although this is about scrying mirrors, although a traditional scrying mirror, although a traditional silvered mirror can be used by not looking directly into it, but catching the light at an angle, most witches have oh geez, my phone is ringing out there. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Somebody named Potential Spam was trying to call me. I sent them to voicemail, but my phone was out in the living room, and puppies are sleeping in the bedroom. So yeah, there's gonna be a little editing that has to happen here. No, Karen. Karen is also joining us now. You want to say hi, Karen? Hi, Karen. Yeah, you love your papa. Okay. You can go up on your perch. So anyway, I don't even know where I was there. Yeah, although a traditional silvered mirror can be used by not looking directly into it, but catching the light at an angle, most witches have most witches have, I think it's supposed to be, have more success using a black mirror. I do have one of those. I have not had a lot of success using my black mirror. I've had that for years. It's one of those things that every once in a while I come back to. And it's like, am I connected to this yet? And then I say, yes, maybe a little, but not overtly enough to really delve into it. So I put it away for a little bit longer, and I'll come back to it again. And this has been an ongoing thing for the last, 9 years-ish. But yeah, I've never really felt the connection to mirror scrying. The next one is tea leaves. Tea leaf reading. This is on 211. Tea leaf reading is a wonderful tool for those who resonate with it. I do not. I would love to be a tea leaf reader. I find it so fascinating to be able to decipher meanings from these different little hi baby, these different little images in the cup and whatnot. I just don't see them. Yeah, never been able to see them. I would like to try coffee ground reading, or the coffee grind. Try reading the coffee grounds. I would like to try that. Haven't tried it yet. Keep on meaning to. Haven't gotten around to it yet. But I would like to try that. But yeah, I haven't resonated with it, and it's very difficult for me to see what other people are seeing in there. Even whenever it's in a book and it's like, here it is, you can't see that. I'm like, Maybe if I squint a little and turn my head, maybe. But no, I don't. Sorry. Um, so yeah, not really one for me. I wish it were. The next one he says is about wax divination. Again, not something I've ever had a connection to. Hydromancy, he says, you can use the reflective surface of still water as a scrying mirror. In fact, this is often the witch's favorite medium. No, tarot now. Used to be oracle. Uh, Before that, pendulums. That is something that has always spoken to me, was pendulums and oracles and stuff like that. Never hydromancy. Yeah, I don't. I've never really. I've tried it, can't get it. Tried it, can't get it. Pyromancy. Pyromancy is the act of divination through fire. Again, not something that I see shapes in. uh and then he says, oh, at the bottom of 212 here, he says, use this list, but adapt it, but add to it, adapt it, make it your own based on your experiences, and as ever, record your experiences. You will find your own symbolic wisdom. He's talking about symbols here. And I like that he gives different symbols. And on that note, I do want to talk about symbols for a second. The book Sigil Witchery by oh geez, no, Zakroff, I think it's Lauren Zakroff. Oh geez, somebody help me out. Lauren Tempest Zakroff, I think. I think that's, yeah. I think that's who the author is. Actually has you go through different symbols and what they mean to you, and break it down and create your own symbol dictionary. And that's something that if you are starting something like this, that, yes, sigils, and making sigils and using these symbols in sigil work is a big part, but these can also help you in tea leaf reading, or in pyromancy or hydromancy, or wax divination and whatnot. So start, like, if you have that book, or if you're interested in sigils, definitely get that book. I do recommend it. And I just got Weave the Liminal, even though I already have the physical book. I also got that on Audible, so I can actually listen to it while I'm doing other things, and get through that book, because yeah, I have something else by her. Anywho, definitely go through this this list that he has here. There are symbol dictionaries out there. If this is something that interests you, dive in. There's a lot to learn. You can find a lot of it online, and I do recommend finding it online, especially if you are on a budget. You can find a lot of this information online, but if you do need to invest in a book, and you want to learn sigils and whatnot, or different ways to make different sigils and whatnot, definitely get Sigil Witchery. Definitely recommend that. Then he goes on to say on page 215, psychometry is a technique to receive information by reading the vibrations of an object. The reader holds an object and tunes into it to receive psychic impressions. This information can be visually, and use any of the symbols above, or it can be a simple sense of knowing. I want to develop my psychometry technique a lot more than what it is right now. Right now, if I pick up an item, and let's say it's this little thing, I have not cleansed it, have not consecrated it, it's just a paperweight, no big deal. I don't feel a lot of vibration coming from this. I feel something with an old person for some reason, but I don't even know where I got this. No clue. Not an iota of an idea. It does have a little imperfection there, but anyway, yeah. No clue where I got this. but I picked it up somewhere along on my journeys and thought it was cool, so I put it on my desk. But I have, and if you're hearing that, the puppies woke up. But I have, uh, I don't really have a sense of feeling of, this item's past, and I want to develop my psychometry a lot more because I find this as a fascinating form of divination, to be able to hold something and kind of intuit what it is that item is passing on to you as far as information. Okay, now we didn't hit the hour mark, or maybe we did with the editing and whatnot. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna just shotgun some of these. On page 216, other forms of fluid divination. The study of divination in itself is a lifelong art. Absolutely could not agree more. It's going to be something that you develop over years and years. Astrology, divination based on the movement of the planets and signs. Not something that's ever really spoken to me. As Karen is scratching at the door. Not something that's ever really spoken to me. I don't really understand astrology that well to speak intelligently on it. Something I should learn, but it can get very confusing. Aeromancy, a style of the future prediction based on the atmospheric conditions, cloud patterns, and the weather. Definitely out of my wheelhouse. Augury? Augury? That word there. Divination based on the behavior of the movement of animals. No, don't have any connection to that whatsoever. Dowsing, divination using a pendulum or divining rods. Yeah, okay. I can kind of say that I have done this before, especially with pendulums. Geomancy, using shapes on the earth or an earth-like substance to gain divination answers. Not really sure how that works, but you've piqued my interest. Muscle testing. This one we discussed in the Inner Temple of Witchcraft. Really cannot see how that would work for me. What's this? Palmistry. I think we all know palmistry. I don't see the difference in lines and whatnot, and what makes an oval finger versus a square finger or anything like that. Palmistry, to me, best left to those who can see the subtle differences and whatnot. I don't see the subtle differences in that. I need something that's a little bit more bang in my face. This is what you need to know, or this is the information you need to pass on. Tarot seems to do that for me. Pendulums seem to do that for me. Runes seem to do that for me, but not palmistry. I'm not even going to try to speak this one, but a form of divination where the answers come through dreams and dream interpretations. This reminds me of Edgar Cayce. If you don't know about Edgar Cayce, do read up on Edgar Cayce. Edgar, Edgar, Cayce, Cayce. Very interesting person. He actually would fall asleep or go into a meditative type sleep, and he was known as a sleeping prophet. Would give these prophetic dreams and whatnot, would iterate them to his secretary, who would write them down. So interesting fellow. Definitely, investigate that further if that's something that you are interested in learning about further. Or ornithancy. Ornithomancy, receiving a psychic information from the flight, sound, and appearance of birds, a form of augury. That one. Yeah. Okay. Again, not being aware of the patterns of animals and whatnot is not something that I am overtly attuned to, so definitely not something that immediately speaks to me. And then he gives an exercise here, and then we are at the end. So we have homework here: study and experiment with divination technique of your choice. Do exercise 29 regularly. Work with this technique to build your experience and confidence. Record your experiences in your book of shadows. Next one is regular altar devotional and any other regular meditative practice. Um, I do have the video coming out tomorrow. It's already been recorded, I think, about, we're discussing opening and closing of spell work, basically, in that one. It's our Christo-Pagan Sunday, um, you know, the spell work from the Bible series that we're doing. So, anyway, he then says continue journaling regularly. Um, Tips: practice. Divination can be hard, particularly when it's your own questions. If you can practice with others to get some perspective in your divination process, do so. The detached feeling you have when divining for another should also be present when divining for yourself. Absolutely, cannot agree more. Doing, just in my experience, doing card readings. Sorry about that. I have another call from potential spam. Don't know who it is, but uh, doing card readings, in my experience, for other people has helped me develop my tarot reading skills, and that is something that I absolutely suggest to other people to do if they have the capability of doing that. If you're unsure, or if you are in the broom closet, whatnot, yeah, stay tuned, because there's going to be information on that coming in the future about something happening there. Just keep watching. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that one, especially if it doesn't end up coming out anytime soon. Yeah, but keep watching on that. Let me know if you guys have any agreements, disagreements, if you have anything that I didn't bring up, anything that you are doing in your divination practice and whatnot that you would like to share that in the comment section down in the nether regions. Join me again for next week. We are going through chapter 11, which is lesson 7, the Witch's Circle. And I love talking about Ritual Circle, so join me for that with the Outer Temple of Witchcraft. So yeah, join me next Saturday for that. And until then, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye-bye.